going to Japan. Hey, Mama, I'm going to Japan. Okay, I got everything packed and I got me an English teaching job and now I'm going to Japan. This is gonna be so easy and everybody gonna love me because I'm gaijin and this is gonna be really fun.
Well, you realize it's not all fun and games when you get here. It's not probably the dreamland you think it is, right?
What?
Well, 80% of gaijin don't even make it past the first year here.
But why not? I think it's gonna be easy. It'd just be like America, but with Japanese people, right? Like they all speak English there and they got, big old cheeseburgers and turkeys for me to buy at the store, right? Right, Scott?
Well, actually, a lot of gaijin have misconceptions before they come here, and that's why 80% don't make it past a year. When I worked at Nova, which is now GCOM owning Nova, lots of gaijin went home even before we got to 6 months, okay? And here's some reasons why people just don't make it as gaijin in Japan, okay? First of all, some people freak out over food. I know this sounds crazy, but they get here and they find they can't get their favorite foods, okay? Yeah, Japan grocery stores don't have the huge selection that you might have in your own country, or their selection is going to be limited to Japanese foods because, surprise, it's Japan, okay? So some people don't make it past that. It's kind of strange, but if you can't get past it, oh well, they're heading home. Another thing is some people never deal with the language barrier, okay? When you first get here, unless you had studied it in college or somehow taught yourself, a lot of people come here and are not fluent in Japanese, and they have to struggle with the language barrier, something I had to face myself when I first got here. But there's ways around it, whether it be through body communications, body language. You get things done, okay? You let people know what you need. Even if you have to draw pictures, write it out, do it any way possible, okay? One of the hardest things to do for me is get a cell phone and get a bank account when I first got here. But I worked through it, I was patient, I took my time, and the Japanese people responded well to that. They were patient with me, and they even helped me with my language barrier. They tried their best with the little bit of English they knew at the time, and we got through it, and I got my accounts. Some people don't get past that point. Okay. Another thing is some people never learn any Japanese at all. They come here and just expect to only find Japanese people who speak English. Well, guess what? There are some, there are a handful here and there, but it's not something you should expect. It's their country. They're going to speak their language. Don't expect them to speak yours, okay? So, some people never learn any Japanese at all and can't understand why their communication never gets any better, okay? And they head home. Oh well, that's kind of their fault. Now, one thing I'd say is not a gaijin's fault is some people come here to teach, okay? One of the number one jobs is coming here to teach English, and they just find they don't like teaching English. That's fine. Big deal, It's not your career. You don't want it. Understandable. Head home. Look for that career, okay? Another problem, and Busan Kevin mentioned this in one of his videos recently, I think, is some people come here and treat it as a 5th year of college, okay? They just finished college, they come on over here, and that's fine, okay? A lot of people come over here after college, and they do great, and they live here for a long time. I have a friend who came here at 22 and is still here at 30 and speaks fluent Japanese and is loving his life here, okay? But some people come here and treat it as a 5th year of college. They get a professional job teaching English, which they need to be respectful towards and treat in a professional way. But every night they go out and party till 3 a.m. and drink till 3 a.m., show up to work hungover, and are surprised when they get fired, have no money, can't afford an apartment, and have to take a trip home. And there is no safety net here for them. They don't understand that. Your parents are 12,000 miles away. No one's going to help you out, okay? All right. And I'd say probably another, and this is probably the biggest thing I know, is some people never adapt to the manners, etiquette, or cultural code of Japan, okay? And I know you're wondering, well, what's one of the biggest things that really can mess with the cultural code or etiquette and manners in Japan? And I would say use of being overly outspoken or aggressive or showing public anger at your workplace, okay? Um, to give you an example, I had a friend, and I worked at one school, and he worked at a sister school connected to the one I worked for. And I knew he had a bad temper, and I was really wondering how it was going to go down with his employment there because I knew it was easy to rub that guy the wrong way, and he could explode at any moment. And one day he finally did. He just went off on all the staff at his school, just screaming his head off. And the next day he was gone, okay? It's not something they tolerate here in Japan. It makes everyone uncomfortable, you know, probably in any country when someone goes totally ballistic, okay? But in Japan, it's so uncalled for and so out of the norm to just explode at the workplace that it can get you fired, okay? If it doesn't get you fired, it can get you demoted and it can get you, you know, talked to by a higher up that you're not going to like the position it puts you in, okay? So that's one thing you got to maintain. Maintaining composure no matter what the situation here in Japan is highly respected, okay? Keeping your cool, highly respected, okay? Staying chilled out when things get too dramatic is highly respected, okay? Throwing around a lot of drama, trying to start fights, talking trash, stuff like that, not gonna do it, okay? Especially outbursts of anger. Just absolutely gonna ostracize yourself in the workplace if you do something like that. So, you know, study up, research. Before I came here, I had 6 months. I knew I had the job, and it was gonna take 6 months to process all my papers and everything. I studied everything I possibly could about Japanese culture before I came here. Now, you know, I still have loads to learn. There's still lots I do not know. But I at least knew some of the manners and etiquette I should have before I come here so I could fit in and gel with the workplace. Some people don't do any research before they come here. And when they get here, they're really surprised by how people react, or they're surprised just by the culture in general, and they can't take the outright culture shock that they experience when they get here. It's Japan. When you come to Japan, expect to follow their rules, okay? Expect to speak their language. Expect to read their language. It's in Japanese because it's Japan.
Oh man.